Yo guys, Spider-Bot here, and welcome to Black Ops 2 Rush Tactics, Hijacked Hardpoint, and the MSMC, the highest damage SMG there is. Now, the first thing you want to make note of here on Hijacked are the 4 hardpoint spawn locations, the first being in that top middle section. Of course, that first hardpoint location in the middle of each map is generally the most difficult to capture and to hold. The second hardpoint spawn is to the aft of the boat in the rear compartment. The third spawn is in the lower area in the engine room, which happens to be in the middle of the map again, similar to the first spawn. And then the fourth and final location is in the forward compartment or the front of the boat. Once that 4-minute cycle of hardpoint locations is complete, they then start repeating. The one thing you want to try to do is when that timer, that hardpoint timer, which is in the top left, just below your minimap, once that gets down to about 15 seconds, you want to start making your way towards the next hardpoint location, again, which is in the aft of the boat or the rear of the boat, just to my right here. Now, the thing you want to remember, and particularly if you're playing hardpoint with a group of friends, is that you want to control the spawn locations here on Hijacked. The majority of our team members need to be on this side of the map. They need to be towards that aft section where that hardpoint is and not pushing forward too much. If you have 1 or 2 players that are pushing too far forward onto the front of the boat, the other side, then you'll get the enemy players that start spawning in behind you. And obviously spawning in at the aft of the boat is preferential for this location. See what I mean? See, the spawns have now flipped. We had teammates that were too far forward. They pushed too far forward, and the enemy players got back into that rear section and switched up the spawns on us. So now we're at a huge disadvantage. I mean, we had control of that hardpoint location. Now we're at a disadvantage. We got to regain control. But if you notice the timer, we're down to about 15 seconds, and we want to start making our way towards the lower area of the boat where the enemy players, I think, are already located. I haven't played hardpoint as much, and it's a good exercise for me to go through this on each of the maps. And then just make note of it, I've got a spreadsheet that I've started for these maps in tracking each of the hardpoint spawn locations and in which order they spawn in. Now, this bottom section, this bottom hardpoint spawn, is very difficult to penetrate once the enemy team has taken position in there. That's what she said, right? So I do have a difficult time getting in there, and it needs to be more of a coordinated effort. I'm playing with a bunch of randoms. We don't have our mics on, and we're not coordinating our efforts. And you can see what happens here when you try and go it alone. And as always, I play these game modes and maps very, very aggressively. Not only in this case am I running the highest mobility class, but the SMG that I'm running here, the MSMC, is the highest damage SMG there is. If we look at the damage charts for each of these SMGs, the MSMC has a maximum damage of 40, and that is significantly higher than any of the other SMGs. The PDW-57 comes in at number 2 with a 35 damage. So with a 40 damage, you're a 3-hit kill anywhere on the body. You can hit them in the leg, in the chest, in the foot, whatever. It doesn't really matter on a fully healed enemy where you hit them. If you hit them in the head, it's still a 3-shot kill. Another advantage to having such a high rate of fire is that if you're up against an enemy player who has been hurt, your chances of killing him in fewer than 3 shots are a lot higher, again, than any of the other SMGs. In the vast majority of cases, if an enemy player has been hurt with at least 1 shot, not from an SMG, you can take him out with 2 bullets, and even if it was with an SMG at minimum damage of 18, you can take him out with 1 to the body and 1 to the head with that headshot multiplier of 1.1, giving you a total damage of 84 with the 1 shot to the body and 1 shot to the head. You call that a double tap? Okay, so here we're just finishing off this hardpoint location, and it's going to switch back to that middle location. That's when we start repeating. We've been at this for approximately 4 minutes now. One thing you want to keep in mind is if you've earned a score streak reward that is air support, like a lightning strike or a chopper or something like that, you want to save it for when the hardpoint is at this middle top location. The other 3 locations are well enclosed, and unless the enemy team is spawning back at their spawn point, whether that's at the back or the front of the boat and they're out in the open, your air support score streaks might not do you a whole lot of good, might just be wasted. So we've got a lightning strike that we're going to call in right here. Again, we can't see the locations I'm calling it in on, but regardless, again, we're up at that middle location, so our chances of hitting enemy players is a bit better than with the other 3 hardpoint locations. Okay, if you notice on the minimap, I'm about to get fucked here. I try and go prone, but yeah, there's no avoiding that, and we lose the middle location, but it was all over anyway. I didn't realize it's hard to keep track of that timer when things are just so active and you're trying to respawn in and get up to where that hardpoint location is. It's hard to sometimes keep track of that timer in the top left. If you're running with a group of friends or a team that is communicating, then you may want to assign somebody to keep track of that timer and call it out when it's about 20 seconds. Call it out, hey, we're at 20, it's almost time to move to the next hardpoint location, and call it out again at 15, at 10, etc. So if you have one person that's responsible for that, then it makes it a whole lot easier for the rest of the team, and the rest of the team doesn't have to track it. They can keep focused on the gameplay, on killing enemy players. And you can also tell when that hardpoint's about to expire because things get pretty quiet at that hardpoint location. So that's another indication. Check the timer and possibly move on to the next spot, which again is underneath that middle portion in the engine room of the boat. Now, I think what I was doing with that lightning strike was looking for the enemy players. The thing is, with the lightning strike, the first time you go to use it, it lights up all the enemy players. If you cancel it and you try it again, it doesn't show you their locations, which is good. It's a good thing. Otherwise, you could just track them that way. It'd be like a constant UAV. But the enemy players weren't in a good position where I could call in the lightning strike that first time, and that's why I canceled it and did it again 2 more times. And as discussed near the beginning of this video, I'm very aggressive when I play pretty much any game mode. I get in there, I like to get dirty, I like to keep the pressure on, I like to get dirty. My wife likes it. Spider-Wife likes that, actually. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding! Honey, I didn't say a word. But I would definitely recommend you guys try this style of play at least once. You gotta try everything once, right? So we tell Mankiller, Mankiller, you gotta try everything once. That's why you get herpes, right? I mean, it's just a different style of play. Yes, you will likely die a lot more than if you were to take it easy. And I fail in the knife. Man, the freaking knifing is just killer. I do have a tactical button layout, so it's a little bit more difficult to get those quick knife kills, but still, the knifing is a little whack on Black Ops 2, as if you didn't already know. And I like to keep the score streak rewards to those low-level rewards. Number one, I mean, the UAV is the best lowest score streak reward there is, and it helps everybody. It doesn't just help you, it helps the rest of your team. It identifies those enemy players on the map, and that's why I like to use those. And again, because I'm running so aggressively, I do die more often, and it's more advantageous to have those low-level score streak rewards versus the high-level ones. I don't like to sit back and try and, if I know I'm at or near that score streak reward, I don't like having that feeling where I feel that I have to sit back and try and get some, quote-unquote campy kills in order to get to that next level of reward. So we're just finishing this game off. We've got about 8, 7, 6 points here to go as it counts down. And it looks like we've got this one wrapped up. The enemy players have left the game for the most part. And we ended up going, let's check the scoreboard, 40 kills, 15 deaths, 5 captures, and 10 defends. That captures. See that? Did you see that second player? Let's take a screenshot of that. So you see that player, a wild muskrat, 10 captures. He knows exactly where those spawns are. He knows when they're going to spawn. Obviously, you can check the timer, but he knows in what order they do spawn in on Hijack. That's why he has so many captures. And that's where I want to get. I have, in my opinion, I have a low number of captures. You want to be a bit higher. Again, depending on how you run it with the team, if you're running with a team, but you definitely want to get into position at those next locations prior to their spawn so that you can capture them right away. Anyways, that has been Black Ops 2 Rush Tactics, Hijacked Hardpoint, and the MSMC, the highest damage SMG. Hope you guys enjoyed. Leave your feedback, as always, in the video comments. And if you want to get in touch with me, best to do it over Twitter. Follow me on Twitter at NextGenTactics. Link is in the description, as always. Or lick me on Facebook. I put that in there on purpose, by the way, in the description. I'm Spider, and I'm out.